Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I had the amazing privilege of visiting Madrid, home to delicious cured ham, beautiful parks, and classical museums. But if you're familiar with my channel, you know I'm at the Spanish capital for footballing reasons, and today we are visiting the home of the greatest football club of all time, Real Madrid. This video will be a bit more special for me since, as a lifelong Madridista, this was a dream come true. After 20 years of supporting this club through thick and thin and through tears of joy and anguish, I have finally arrived at the prestigious Casablanca, El Santiago Bernabéu. My grandfather visited Spain and fell in love with this club, then my father fell in love with it, and after falling in love myself, I am now able to stand before their home in all its glory. Even as I made this video, it was still hard for me to believe I made it. Throughout this visit, I genuinely believed I would suddenly wake up from this dream experience. But enough about me. Football fans delight and Madridistas relish as I take you through these grounds in this latest tour video. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Santiago Bernabéu. Quick bit of history before we start. Real Madrid Club Football was founded in 1902 in the Santiago Bernabéu Stadium, named after legendary Real Madrid player, manager, and later president himself, Santiago Bernabéu, was built in the mid-1940s and has been renovated many times throughout the years, most notably in 2019. For the longest time, most of us came to be familiar with the Bernabéu's open roof look with 4 pillars on each corner of the stadium. Here is a 3D puzzle model of it I have back at home, just for the younger audience who may not know what it looked like before the 2019 renovations. Now, after those incredible renovations, it looks more like a spaceship or a modern art sculpture. Before the Santiago Bernabéu, the field Real Madrid played in was Estadio Chamartín. But because Real Madrid was growing in popularity and the city itself was growing exponentially, in 1943, President Antonio Santos Peralba expressed the need to build a new stadium with more capacity, and after the board of directors agreed, the Santiago Bernabéu was greenlit. The rest, as they say, is history. The most noticeable change from the 2019 renovations was of course the facade, which consists of curved stainless steel lamellas that give it that futuristic look. One thing I love about football stadiums outside of the US is how embedded they are to the city, as opposed to the ones in the States where stadiums aren't very walkable because they are usually surrounded by acres and acres of parking lots. However, that's not to say everyone close by loves the idea of being across the street from the Bernabéu. In the windows and balconies of some of the apartment buildings surrounding the stadium, you can see that some of the residents have hung up banners that say "No to concerts." This is because ever since the renovations, the stadium has been able to host concerts at max capacity, and there have been plenty of noise complaints and concerns by nearby residents, and it's actually still an ongoing matter at the time of making this video. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get a game day experience because during our visit, Los Blancos were playing an away game. However, I could still book a tour of the Bernabéu, which I booked through their official website. You can get a guided tour in English for any non-Spanish speaking football fans. Once we got closer to the start time, we made our way to the Tour Bernabéu entrance near Gate 57 on Street del Padre Damián. Once there, we received the sticker and waited in a lobby for everyone else to start the tour. Once everyone arrived, our lovely tour guide Rania led us through some hallways with pictures of Champions League winning squads, such as the 98, 2000, and 2002 campaigns. Then we went to the official start of the tour in this room that had the highly coveted UEFA Champions League Cup in full display. In the next room, they had projected videos explaining how the renovations came to be, how the retractable pitch works, yes they have a retractable pitch, more on that later, and how the final product will look with this amazing model they have. As we made our way, we entered a hallway filled with trophies as well as a timeline of this club's history and how it came about, starting with its foundation. And then we continue on to the early years with the legend Alfredo Di Stefano. Here we have their La Liga trophy cabinet, and for those who may not know, Real Madrid are the most successful La Liga team, holding a record 36 titles. The timeline then continues on to the early 2000s, leading into the Galactico era after Florentino Perez became president of Real Madrid. And here we have a display of Zidane's Adidas Predator Manias that were worn in the 2002 Champions League final versus Bayer Leverkusen, where he scored that amazing volley. And here we see some domestic cups like the Copa del Rey and Spanish Supercopas. I do like how the Supercopas show the clubs that participated on the trophy itself. There have been a few El Clásico Supercopa finals, with Madrid having beat rivals Barcelona on more occasions when faced in those finals. And we continue down the timeline to Madrid's historic Champions League three-peat, never been done before in the more modern Champions League format, all the way down to their most recent Champions League win in 2024 against Borussia Dortmund with goals from Dani Carvajal and Vinicius Jr. In this trophy cabinet, you can see some pretty crazy trophies, some as big as furniture, but the one I like the most here, and the one most football fans will recognize, is this beautiful one right here, La Gloria Eterna, the Copa Libertadores. Now, some of you may be wondering, why is the South American Club Tournament in the Real Madrid trophy cabinet? Well, as you stare at my ugly mug alongside it, I'll gladly explain. Towards the end of the 2018 year, moments before the Copa Libertadores final was going to take place, chaos broke loose and one of the team's buses was attacked by the rival fans outside of the stadium. This wasn't entirely too shocking though, since the teams that made it to the final that year were Boca Juniors and River Plate, El Superclásico, one of the fiercest rivalries in world football between Argentina's greatest football clubs. As a result of the violence and safety concerns, they moved the final to an entirely different continent and had the Santiago Bernabéu host the first ever and possibly last Copa Libertadores final outside of South America. And if you're a Boca Juniors fan, I am so sorry for bringing up such bad memories, but River would go on to win that historic final 3-1. So with all that being said, CONMEBOL gave thanks to the Bernabéu Stadium by gifting them a replica of the Copa Libertadores trophy. Finally, before we left this hallway, we were able to see the Ballon d'Ors won by players during their time in Real Madrid, Cristiano Ronaldo having won the most with 4, and Madrid being the only club in history to receive a Super Ballon d'Or won by the great Alfredo Di Stefano. In this next room, you could take a picture with the chair David Alaba was raising after they completed the comeback against PSG in the 2021-2022 Champions League campaign. Then we go through some historical match-worn gear, and here in the more modern era, you can see David Beckham's signature Predator Absolutes, Kaká's Red Adipures, and Vinny Jr.'s Mercurial Vapors. Then we move on to more individual awards, such as Iker Casillas' Golden Gloves, some FIFA World Player of the Year awards won by Ronaldo Nazario o Fenomeno, as well as some by Zinedine Zidane, Hugo Sanchez's Golden Boots, and of course just some of the many awards won by the GOAT Cristiano Ronaldo. Our next destination was a room honoring Fundación Real Madrid, which is Real Madrid's charity that contributes around the world to make the sport more accessible to people of all backgrounds. The next stop was an exhibit of Ciudad Real Madrid, or Real Madrid City, which is what they call their massive training complex. This, of course, is where their players train, from the first team all the way down to their youth academy known as La Fábrica, which translates to the factory. Many talents have been produced at La Fábrica, the most notable one being Dani Carvajal, who inaugurated the complex alongside legend Alfredo Di Stefano, who was a big champion in promoting young, homegrown talent. We then passed through this LED hallway where you can stand next to Madrid players and take some pictures and read some of their physical attributes as well. The room that followed displayed Real Madrid's European Super Cups, International Cups, as well as the pennants exchanged before a Champions League final match. Real Madrid has the most European Super Cups, which is where the Champions League finals winner faces off with the Europa League finals winner to see who is the king of Europe, as well as the most Club World Cups, which is to see who's the best club in the world. There's a reason they're considered the greatest club of all time. And speaking of greatness, here is their main claim for that title and what makes this club so special. The record 15 European Champions Leagues being displayed in all their glory. Truly a special moment and one I will never forget for the rest of my life. As we exited the Champions League trophy cabinet, we entered this room that commemorates Real Madrid's most recent Champions League win with Jude Bellingham's signed jersey, signed signature boots, as well as the signed match ball. We then went through some exhibits honoring Real Madrid legends as well as some of the most important figures in their history, such as Alfredo Di Stefano, Paco Gento, Amancio, and José Martínez Pirri. Finally, we were able to witness the legendary interior of one of the most iconic sports stadiums in the world. This really was truly something to behold. This stadium had a capacity of approximately 81,000, but after the latest renovations, the seating capacity is now closer to 85,000. In addition to making the exterior look futuristic, one of the biggest feats these renovations accomplished is the new retractable pitch. The pitch is composed of columns that can be retracted and stored underneath the stadium in a greenhouse where they can take better care of the grass using UV lighting and other high-tech technology to ensure the pitch's perfect condition. Besides this, the main purpose of having a retractable pitch is to be able to use the empty space left for other activities like concerts, conferences, trade shows, and other sports like basketball and even the NFL if the opportunity arises. As a Houstonian myself, it would be pretty unreal to witness a Houston Texans game here at the Santiago Bernabéu. In addition to the retractable pitch, the renovations brought in this massive 360 Halo video scoreboard, which is made up of 18 displays suspended from the stadium's roof and is comprised of 3,200 square meters of Daktronics LEDs. Funny enough, it debuted in the April 2024 El Clasico, where Real Madrid beat their rivals Barcelona 3-2. This all truly is an incredible feat of engineering. After we were done viewing the pitch, we went through this cute little play area for children that had a pretty cool 3D puzzle of the stadium itself. I know it's meant for kids, but I can definitely see myself here trying to put it all together. In this area, tourgoers can get in line to take a picture next to the prestigious Champions League trophy. Once you've done so, you can pick up your picture at the end of the tour through the gift shop. Afterwards, we went down to Real Madrid's basketball team museum and trophy cabinet. If you don't watch basketball, you'd be surprised, but if you're an NBA fan, you may have known that Luka Doncic actually played for Real Madrid's basketball team before coming to the States. I don't know much about basketball myself, but I believe Real Madrid's team must be pretty good based on what I saw in their trophy cabinet. Next, we looked at the Real Madrid's women's football team exhibit. The women's team is a fairly new project. The club was originally founded in 2014 under Club Deportivo Tacón, an independent women's football club in Madrid. However, in 2019, they merged with Real Madrid and became official in 2020. Since they are a very young club, there isn't as many accolades. However, it was Real Madrid's very own Olga Carmona who scored the game-winning goal in the 2023 Women's World Cup final against England, giving the Spanish women's national football team their first ever World Cup. The last exhibit of the tour was once again Real Madrid's youth academy, La Fábrica. Here you actually get to see the players in all the different age brackets, as many as young as U8, all the way through the young adolescents in Real Madrid Castilla or Real Madrid's B team. Here is a map of La Fábrica itself with a timeline of how it came to be. Now, before we make our exit through the gift shop, I quickly wanted to go over two negatives I had with the tour itself. One is that I feel like we didn't get enough access because we weren't allowed in the players' locker rooms or even able to stand pitch side. I understand that the renovations technically aren't complete, so there's still some construction going on, so that may be the case. The second negative I have is just how crowded it is. Real Madrid is incredibly popular, so please keep in mind that you won't be able to freely record or take pictures by yourself in this tour by any means. Nothing terrible really, just things to keep in mind if you ever book a tour here in the near future. Now the last spot before we end the tour is the gift shop, where you can pick up any pictures taken previously in the tour, as well as pick up any Real Madrid merchandise, clothing, training gear, or small souvenirs. You name it, they pretty much have it. I didn't get much because I do feel that team stores, especially in the stadiums, tend to be a bit overpriced, but if you'd love to pick some stuff up, this would be the place. And that concludes the tour, you guys. Thank you so much for embarking on this dream come true for me. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more stadium tours. That'll be all, and until next time, adios.